Going to start off this time with KT on the blue side, as I mentioned, starting off with a Galio ban and a Sejuani ban for the side of Kongdoo.
Probably going to be 3 bans towards Edge, try to force him on something like the Malzahar or something lower priority, and then probably job done when it comes to actually targeted bans for KT Rolster. Whereas in Kongdoo Monster, they don't want to see a first pick Sejuani. So at least trying to diminish the value of first pick here for KT. Also a bit of a coverage ban for Yujun.
It almost feels like we're going down the inevitable path of Deft getting Ezreal in this game if it doesn't get banned out. We do see the Kalista banned here by KT.
Does extend that narrative. Could be a first pick. Feels like Ezreal, Ryze right now are the highest tier champions. I don't know if Azir will be first pick, even though Pawn has had some great results on it, but those are the 3 that leap to mind. Final ban here for Kongdoo Monster. They want a strong 2 picks on the red side, so we'll see what they leave open as bait. It will not be the Ezreal. So KT Rolster could just default to the Ryze, as they have something else in mind.
No, he's too strong. I can't wait for 8.3. I'm definitely not the biggest fan of the stopwatch Realm Warp myself. Feels too easy to pull off. And
Edge has a winning record on the Azir, so perhaps we'll see Edge lock that in at some point. Could also go for the Malzahar as well if they want to play through mid lane, but didn't find them a lot of success. You see the Sejuani ban on red side because it's a powerful first pick, but also because Yujun is another one of these younger junglers who come in largely preferring the carries. When you come off the ladder, you're not expecting a Cinderhulk guard, you're expecting, you know, a micro invading guard on something like the Kha'Zix to gain that ELO. So Yujun will be jumping on the Kha'Zix for the first time. Lee Sin is first game, Rengar is second, and now on the other end of that matchup on the Kha'Zix.
Oh, swapping around 3 different picks, and they land on Kog'Maw. Almost looked random at that point, but of course Sol, a very strong Kog'Maw player.
An old favorite of his, but not a winning record so far this season. Also, I'm usually not a fan of drafts that include these 2 champions because Kha'Zix and Kog'Maw are so different in terms of identity unless you really can power to your first item and try to just completely overcome with 1 item Kog'Maw.
Those are Raze's parents, by the way.
That's awkward for them to show him now.
I know. They put him on camera right after YouTube.
Like, sorry, son, we're caught in traffic. We'll get there for game 2.
Oh, no.
Awkwardly for him. Bit of a sad moment.
Feels bad, man.
I'm sure they're I'm sure they want Kongdoo Monster to win, so at least they're here for that. On the KT side, we're going strong early game here. They see the Kog'Maw and they say, you're not getting anywhere near mid to late game. Happy to go for the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I like that idea. Deft definitely knows the power of Caitlyn and will be very abusive in the early game, but nice little Tom Kent to support our Kog'Maw in the lane.
Excited to see how KT play around the Caitlyn lane. It was, again, game 1 versus Kingzo that I bring up a lot, where they were very soundly beaten. But it was Galio, Caitlyn, and I believe Braum as the 3 lock-ins there, but they weren't able to play around the pressure inherent in a strong Caitlyn lane, ended up counting for nothing. So we'll see if KT take advantage of just the amount of power they've already loaded into their bot lane. They haven't picked up a jungler, so we're going to see some bans from the side of Kongdoo Monster, but they haven't picked up a mid laner either, so we might just see Malzahar Azir banned on the blue side by KT.
Yeah, maybe have Edge have to take a shot at Talia on his own time. There's that Malzahar ban. Let's see what they decide to go for. Will they save the counter pick for the top lane?
Talia is a possibility here. Orianna, Talia, Galio are the 3 he's played this season, so I'm thinking it could be an Orianna just to give Yujun a bit more of a team fight thing to do, leap in and have the ultimate, even though I'm not a big fan of Orianna in this meta. It's an old Edge staple. 2 games already this season. That's not something that history proves true.
Yeah, talk to me when you get to semifinals, buddy. We do have the Gnar picked up, and, well, it does kind of make sense. You want to take that pick away. They feel like it's too strong in the top lane, and, well, we do have the Camille picked up for the top lane for Smep, and the Zac being hovered for score. Just really more engage.
This is a great timing for Zac into Kha'Zix. Usually it's very risky, right? Because Zac engages on a camp, Kha'Zix shows up and kills him. can be a bad news story. It's very powerful lanes. Look at this.
Please.
I've been asking for the Twisted Fate. It's not the matchup I expected it in, but this would be a fun one if we saw it. Will it be our first Twisted Fate of the year? We got too excited. We got KT Rolster by Kongdoo Monster. It's just going to be a Talia to push into the Rise. When we see a Zoe, there's an outside chance people will take the Twisted Fate side of the matchup, but not today, Valdez.
So sad.
I really like the draft from KT. I have to be once again convinced they could play it. It's a standard for KT, but after they were so wayward with Galio Caitlyn, I have to be convinced once again. But this is the sort of time where you have Camille into Gnar, you have Ryze into Farmer, you have Caitlyn Brahms, you have at least 2 lanes you're very comfortable in. You can allow for a scaling jungler, so scaling Zac in the early game. I hope we see Score be Peanut-esque here in his aggression. You can do some great plays. That's some awesome Ornn artwork.
Holy crap.
That's one they brought from home. They definitely didn't make that during game 1.
Chino was doodling in the time as Kongdoo was losing and then decided to go for it. Unfortunately for him, no Ornn in this game, even though we've seen what it can do. KSV definitely liking their Ornn, but not in this one, not picked, not banned. Perhaps the nerf's a little bit strong for these 2 teams.
A lot of power for KT Rolster. Very strong laning phases in all. Talia might push in Ryze. That's the only bad news story. And who knows, Score might visit that lane and try to turn it around. So I think there's a lot to like here from KT. Bridges the gap from early to mid to late game very, very well. A lot of threat onto the Kog'Maw. It's always the champion you want to speak about most on the enemy side. But then you look at the side of Kongdoo Monster. Doesn't really have an identity. Kog'Maw's drafted just as a powered pick. Maybe playing around a 1-item power spike, but they don't really have a front line to defend him in the late game. You can snowball very hard with a draft like this and out-skirmish, but for Kongdoo Monster to pull that off with a new jungler, that'd be a surprise. It's gonna
have to be Yujun popping off like hell, but let's see what he can do. We're gonna jump into game number 2 right now. Here we go, match 40, game 2. The 2K teams going head-to-head.
We got 4 of those.
Yeah. I remember day number 1 when Kongdoo got the 2-0 over MVP. The mistranslation of Kongdoo as one of the top teams, the 4K teams being on top, but not quite the case here.
It was actually even more of a mistranslation because it was the global cast just said the strongest 4 teams would be Kongdoo, KT, KSV, and Kingzone, and we were like, we definitely didn't say that.
You definitely said something like that, but not that.
No, 3 of them, for sure.
Yes.
The 4th one, Kongdoo Monster, I had at last place, and I was looking a bit silly.
If only they knew. If only they knew.
I mean, it was in Korean, the interview, for FOMOS.
They should have known that.
I don't know if they really want to read the news too much, as can be a bit savage when you're one of these lower place teams. Kongdoo went for the early invade, but late invade from KT. I'm not sure Deft's winning this trade.
Nope. He is not. Yujun not even having to smite, but it does get him low, which is kind of awkward. Even uses a proc on his potion here.
We almost always see Zac start on Wolves because you can power farm the blue buff and also pick up the Gromp at the same time. Score's not going to do that. I guess he hasn't been watching what everyone else is up to. Didn't get a leash, so perhaps just looking for 1 buff into a contest on the enemy red. Could also just be worried about leash ranges, but eventually gets the memo. For some power farming on the top side.
He's doing his thing. It's going for the level 2 gank. Just kidding, but gets in there after pushing. Nice little trade from Smeb.
He didn't take minion aggro because he was far enough away from the minion line to get a free trade. Didn't take a turret shot, but still, winner of that trade is Smeb. We're not seeing the inspiration tree on the Camille, and you might say, okay, why? It makes sense. Comment's been very standard, obviously going into Resolve second, but really good post from Zyrene on Twitter today showing that you can actually use Hexaflash while you're flying through the hookshot to extend the range. So you know a lot of people will E into the wall, E again, then flash. You can actually charge up the Hexaflash mid hookshot to actually extend the range. That's a really cool interaction that I believe Darshan was one of the first people to notice. Perhaps we'll see that in Korea in future weeks.
Sounds very mechanically intensive.
Yes. I'm always excited about those.
Sounds like you're playing a 2D platformer and you have to do 5 different things at the same time.
5D chess, baby.
Yeah, nice. If someone is skilled enough to make that happen, then please do it. Show it to us.
We'll wait for the inspiration tree Camille before we can talk about it, sadly.
Yeah, maybe someday. Eugen's been doing a nice job of being where score is and saying, well, I'm stronger than you early on.
And Talia also stronger than Rise early on, so smart timing. No red buff steal coming through for Eugen, but did lose out on at least a couple of Raptors. Eugen's returning again in a ward.
We got Secret coming by.
Even the Kog'Maw's leaving lane, all right.
Well, you got to find something to do. Smite was down there for score, so Eugen just picks that up. Secret's going to have some breakfast to begin the game.
At least they definitely are acting on what the coach said. The coach definitely said, let's shut down the Zac. And they're out rolling in one by one to keep down score in the early game. Not to any super degree of punishment, and does isolate the Camille to play super aggressive against the Nara. So it's with a cost, but after game 1, Kongdoo having their fate in their own hands is at least quite exciting.
Saw that Eugen did take the stopwatch and the free boots as his inspiration tree runes, but that is no longer going to be possible on 8.3. We'll see if junglers continue to go into that, because there's not a lot of other things that you can take in the inspiration tree that makes sense for junglers.
And kind of the flow-on effect of that is it does, you know, bring down the power of, say, Unsealed Spellbook junglers, or even going second tree into inspiration.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Futures Market and Minion Dematerialize are obviously not going to be such big pickups. Maybe we'll see more Futures Market. I feel that's a rune that's been overlooked a little bit and holds some power.
Yeah, you and I were actually theorizing a little bit about that in the taxi after one of the games about, you know, timing pushes and stuff, cool stuff that you can do. You know, think about other RTS games and timing attacks and stuff like that, but there's so many variables in League of Legends that it would be incredibly hard to pull off, especially on a bigger scale. Let's say if multiple people on your team took it.
It's usually a, well, I know I'm going to lose this lane because I'm a melee support, so I'm going to have the chance to actually get the big first item purchase I want, rather than used for win more. So it's used to lose less rather than win more. So far, we've seen Futures Market's bot lane.
That stun was very close, but Soul does get out of dodge there, down on the bottom side.
Heavily winning the trade, though, a KT, and now there's suddenly no more sustain onto Soul. Uses his last potion.
Yeah. You notice that the Cullo is taken here for Deft. I wonder the math on Relic Shield versus Cull in the lane.
Was a very early purchase from Deft. If you don't start the Relic Shield, then I think there's really no value to it. You want it from level 1, and he did start the Doran Blade for lane control. So lane control on Caitlyn always been the most important thing. We've had a lot of metas of AD carry itemization, and when it's Relic Shield or Doran Shield in the meta, Caitlyn's usually the last convert, because she has such a strong laning face. But triple Unsealed Spellbook this game, so KT might be doing some creative TP. That's exciting.
I want to see...
Getting greedy with a back timer, and Eugen's here.
He gets the flash off, and the Devour onto Brawl. Mata's in a little bit of trouble here. The lick hits. He's got stopwatch and a TP, but they can definitely force this kill. That's first blood over to Yuju, and the TPs are canceled. And Mata gets taken out.
Yeah, really nice gank time. It didn't even have to invest the Weaver's Wall from Edge, and both teleports are canceled. Too far up the lane. Great synergy with the junglers there. So good to see already. A feel-good moment for Kongdoo. Not much to show for this entire series. There will be no perfect game in game 1 or game 2. As Mata's going to teleport on lane, and maybe they just turn it on to Secret.
It's definitely an opportunity here. Secret doesn't have flash. He's got to hit the Q. Nice dodge. As Secret just waddles away.
He was too far up the lane himself, but not going to be punished the ultimate way. And score is jungling on the top side now. Here's the replay that happened here. Mata walks up because this is, of course, the standard AD carry conundrum of, I just need these 2 minions and I'll back. But Mata was too far exposed. Eugen with the great timing. Stopwatch not going to save him here. He's isolated, so Eugen's definitely going to be able to deal with him, whether the teleport completes or not. So greed from the AD carry, and who's to pay for it but the hapless support.
Poor Mata just has to TP back to lane. I want to see in the future Relic Shield and then Cull as a follow-up for some AD carries.
You ready for that?
I'm so ready.
Is that what you want to see?
I wonder why we didn't see much of that in 8.1, but I guess delays you even more from getting your first item.
I feel
like very greedy.
And in 8.1, it was less about the gold generation. Like, sure, that was relevant, but
yeah.
it was much more about the safety and the fact that you could just pick up a purchase with almost no cost whatsoever. When you opt into a cull, you might be getting gold income, but it does delay your first item pretty significantly. We had a lot of Rageblade carries that, when they're sitting on constituent parts, feel so bad to be on any sort of blasting one. So you want a lot of gold, 2,000 gold, to complete from where we see Soul right now. So we didn't see super ultra gold generation, but there's still time, Valdez.
Maybe next patch. A man can dream. But for now, we're just going to have Caitlyn farming up gold with her call, being ahead of the Kog'Maw. Things all kind of make sense. The first blood went over to Yujin, which gives him a nice boost from the jungle on the Kha'Zix. Makes his life a little bit easier. I'm sure he's a little bit less nervous as well in the jungle.
Smeb doing much better in this lane than we've seen other Camille's this week. We've actually seen Narv win this lane a couple of times recently.
37 now.
Understandably, Caitlyn doing a lot more damage in lane than Kog'Maw, who only with W up is going to be looking for any sort of trades. The way this game plays out, it's pretty similar for both teams. What we're expecting to see is KT focus on getting the first turret, then have their AD carry in mid lane. But we're seeing Yujin walk up. Smeb doesn't know they're here, but smart ward does spot out Yujin.
Seems like he had an idea, enough of an idea at least, to scout that out. Still an opportunity. They were hanging around, but not going to happen.
KT want first turret to go down around the same time that Pawn is ready to start hitting a side lane. They have 4 teleports on their team at the moment, but only 3 of them available. So they can also look for a lane swap at the drop of a hat. Happy news for Roach as there's no wards on the top side, so no ability for a lane gank here.
Yujin started this at 10 minutes. Level 6 as a Kha'Zix.
Even before his first jungle enchant, so you see he will take quite a lot of damage, but will eventually be able to close it out.
And there it is. And he is just going to recall away. Hits level 7. Pawn thinking about a play up top side, but hits the plant and decides against it.
He was also hoping to kill Yujin if he leaped over the back, but with the empowered recall, no ability to take down the Kha'Zix there. Deft and Mata playing this lane a lot more decisively than they were against the team of Kingzone, which says a lot about the opposition, but also with less resources here. They have a lot of teleports. They're pushing up and getting into threat range. When they have no combat summons, they only have flashes to teleport. Even though Deft tried it as a combat summoner at Worlds once upon a time, we remember that Jace game, is not going to be useful in this scenario, but this is free damage onto Secret. Soul can't do anything. This turret is about a minute away from crashing based on how much pressure KT are putting down bot.
Yeah, that was all under turret as well. He was forced to burn the flash just in trade for the fissure. Definitely a fantastic trade for Mata. TP comes in and they have Yujin down here. They're looking to capitalize on another aggressive move by KT, but smartly just going to stick in the brush. Seems like they sniffed this out.
They don't want to back right now as Deft is 3 away from his call cashing in. Sort of greed that got Mata killed last time.
Yeah.
Was a natural back timing, but not to be. Score is power farmed, even though Yujin has done great stuff around the map. In the time that he was taking Rift Herald, Score got 2 camps. That's why he has a small experience advantage. 1.5 camps ahead of his opposing number. Well, we see Yujin bot lane. Right now it's going to be a Krug steal. Would love to use the Rift Herald to crash a turret, but very hard to catch KT with their pants down bot lane when they can just teleport back to lane themselves.
He's definitely looking to get aggressive somewhere, but decides to just give the blue buff over to Taliyah. Definitely not the action-packed beginning of the game as we had in game number 1. Kongdoo Monster not getting rolled over this time.
No, Yujin has been good this game. His 3rd time on the Rift as a professional jungler and read the game. Been ahead of the play for the first time, so there's definitely such a different speed, especially in the jungle position, when you step up from solo queue to competitive play. And credit to Yujin for definitely being able to cause some headaches for KT, but unfortunately the bot lane just 2v2 have been able to overcome They're trying to take advantage here. Talia's here as well, so the teleport back into lane is risky.
Yeah.
That's why we haven't seen Caitlyn channel it.
Now she's going to go for it as they have Zach coming on over, but Mata getting himself into trouble, nearly goes down there. Stands beside a minion just to stay alive, but that is the first turret going on over. Looks like the Soul and Yujun picked up the gold on that one, so a nice division between the members of the team as well.
Yeah, if they wanted to actually pull off the recall, they needed score to come earlier, so I think the communication between jungle and bot lane wasn't where it needed to be to pull that off cleanly. End up losing the objective, trying to turn onto Secret.
Okay, well, they're expending a lot of resources to come on in on this one. It's also a TP from Mata. May be able to pick up this sad little catfish. 4-on-1, you see the rest of Kongdoo just leaves him to die. Don't even come in to help.
Last bat used well there by Pawn to deny the escape with his ranged auto attack. So they struggled for that one in Series 1 of the day, where that was denied away from KSV being able to pick up a kill onto Tal, but that one registers. They got a kill on the Tomcan, so goodbye enemy. Out of bot lane turret. I believe when Pawn goes back, he's going to have his Abyssal Mask, and we start the game of rotations that only Rise can be suited to. And one better than Rise when it comes to this mid laner's playing the side lane. He starts to back, Caitlyn goes mid. We start this merry game again, Valdez.
Here we are again. Oh, cannon. Well, Edge just a little bit behind the Rise, not too bad. Yujun still trying to make his presence felt. This is really the money timing for the Kazakhs in the mid game, trying to assassinate members.
I see Talia versus Rise in the side lane soon. Rise now level 11, so can play the side lanes so deftly and make a lot of plays happen. Caitlyn is going to walk mid and wave clear. And Swimmer Roach has been isolated the entire game, so not to a CS lead for the Camille. Things going pretty happy for Roach. He's going aggressive again.
Nearly has that Mega Gnar. Was threatening it. Knew he had the Tom Kins nearby too, in case anything went wrong. Especially because Pawn did have his teleport.
Push, push, push is the strategy from Caitlyn. Static Shiv, BF Sword, confirming that. Ninja Tabi, just to respect for the Kazakhs potentially getting ahead and having a bit of flat armor penetration in the early game. Yujun's jungle proximity hasn't been high, but he's had good timings on his ganks, 100%. So when he has been there, he's made something happen, and he took the Rift Herald. So while Score is power farmed and has the outscale option with the Kazakhs, you also have to reward Yujun because his conservation of time at 16 minutes has been on point.
Yeah. Still ends up behind on the farm somehow. Was taking the Rift Herald for quite a while during all of that. And now they're looking for a play onto Pawn. Does get spotted there, but it's Rise. And it's 8.2. He gets away.
Very skilled escape there from Pawn.
Yeah. Pressed a couple of buttons and he got out.
Don't try this at home, anybody. Doesn't work on the live patch.
Yeah, that too. But I have seen a lot of Rises on 8.1 and 2 fail on solo queue.
Hey, I've seen Rises on 8.3 attempt it and fail. That's much funnier.
People still pick Rise in solo queue?
Yep.
I haven't gotten to play it for the last, like, 3
I thought you were
going to
go with people still don't read patch notes, and I was going to be like, yep, they don't.
Yeah.
Lane swap here from Caitlyn. Good read there from No. I didn't want it to be caught in lane. I'm going to also take this first Drake of the game. Ocean at 17 minutes. The Mountain going to be a bit more consequential coming later. Sort of what you want to do if you're playing Caitlyn. Going for an AFK push strategy is not to have to worry about Drake spawns. Secret's all alone here. That seems a bit too forward-thinking.
No Realm Orb on the Rise means that Talia could have gotten top faster. And maybe that's part of the reason why they didn't want to go for a dive. Nice measured play from KT, not getting out of hand in this one.
Yeah, but even though Kongdoo monsters can get here, the problem is that in a vacuum, Soul and Secret just slowly lose the lanes, lose the turret, and they're not gaining anything else around the map apart from an Ocean Drake. So usually, if you're happy in that scenario, you need to be making plays elsewhere. As nice disengage on the Hextech Ultimatum coming through from Roach.
Good work. Had he got locked down, you have Mata to hop forward, even potentially flash and make that kill a reality.
It's actually his 10th game on Gnar for the season. Has been able to be a Gnar one trick, not been a high priority ban against the team. Brom's not here, so let's see if Soul can actually train down this turret. So far, so good, and Yujun will just focus on the blue for now.
I'm gonna hand that over to Edge, it looks like, in the mid lane.
Kongdoo staying competitive in this game. Yujun has reinvigorated them, like we mentioned. They're trying to fight where they feel strong, which is when they had the outnumber in top side after Mada recalled. No teleport up on the Braum. And if they're going even in gold, there's always the hope that team fights, they can outplay the side of KT. They don't outcomp them for team fights. The Kog'Maw is going to be pretty exposed, and if Splash is down, both Smeb and Score are going to be licking their lips at engaging onto the back line. Kha'Zix is ahead, so at this point in the game, maybe can get some work done, but it's going to be a very tanky lineup from KT. Only Deft is not going to be building into a pretty significant chunk of health. So actually making the team fights work requires a vision advantage and some creative play on the Kha'Zix as well. So ease of execution goes to the team that's higher ranked on the standings, usually means a victory, but we're ready for some outplays from Kongdoo Monster. Speaking of outplays, they need to start now.
They wanted the hop, they're not gonna get it. They have that Hextech ultimatum, should be enough. No Mega Gnar just yet, but Smeb actually taking a little bit of damage. Here comes the, oh no, got interrupted. They're just gonna leave Rhodes to die. Down he does go. They wanted to go on this kill, looking for Pawn. Nice little trade. They're gonna pick up Ryze in the mid lane and also go for this mid lane turret.
Maybe it was just cancel. I think they thought better of just collapsing onto the Ryze and taking the turret. Second part one happened, but it ends up being a 1-for-1. And Kongdoo didn't have to rotate as much, got access to more minions. Camille will keep split pushing, so with Trinity Force will do a bit of damage here. Doesn't have the most ward coverage, has to respect. So ends up pretty even, all things considered.
Forces a couple of members over here, see if they can get some pressure in mid lane. Let's see how this happens.
So the thought here was to actually move over, but they cancel the ultimate, seeing that it's not actually going to lead to much, and Vaughn walks up to his own doom. Nice kill there from Kongdoo Monster.
Overkill, even as the Weaver's Wall comes out, just in case, but he was already dead before it even was created. So 2-0 right now for the replacement jungle, the sub in Yujun. Still waiting on that next item after the Warrior Enchant jungle item.
Deft, no worries on items. Cole cashed in way long ago. 228 CS at 20 minutes. 2 items on Caitlyn. So working on a third Zeal item here, but definitely in a position of power. Was never able to actually break the top lane outer turret. Going to be Ryze pushing his way there. And Score shadowing him as well. And Kongdoo Monster holding the minions in the mid lane does suit them, because it means that Soul and Deft are trading farm. And for Kog'Maw, who has been rotated on pretty hard this game to be splitting farm with the Caitlyn, certainly no worries there from the perspective of Kongdoo Monster when it comes to the eventual impact as Kog'Maw, while not necessarily as late game hyper carry as he once was, 2-3 items into the build is massively powerful, probably more so than the Caitlyn. So for now at least, no advancement in the position for KT. Means a gold lead. It's not really much to talk about. It's at least a lot of parity for Kongdoo Monster.
That it is. We'll see if they can actually engage onto anyone in the future. It's going to be largely up to Roach on the Gnar to make some big plays happen with this ultimate. Give some space to Soul on the back.
Like the build from Soul, going fiercely single target. Not much value in Hurricane early in this game, because he's going to have a Hextech ultimatum and a Zac to deal with and try to self-peel with something like the Blade of the Ruined King. So a lot of current HP damage, especially when the Phantom hit from the Rage Blade is hitting. Secret walks up, doesn't have vision of that brush. Going to go all the way around. That's a little bit risky, but a lot of control wards on the map, as we can see. Soul all alone for at least a moment, but for now, no threat from KT Rolster.
This is always an interesting trade to see. He's going to hop over the wall. Once again on top, look at Yujun, so fast with that ultimate. Even the Tom Kent's coming in. And, well, kind of a failed engage overall. 3 members trying to make it work, but it did not pay off.
It was more than 3. Taliyah actually had cheated towards the mid lane, looking to roam bot. Gonna lose turret, might even just lose the turret straight up. Scores there, so will be finally, much delayed, the answering turret here for KT Rolster.
Pawn also has his TP, so if they try to collapse onto this Mountain Drake, potential for KT to force an engage afterwards.
See the pings, though, from KT. Had to keep pushing. Scores jungling around that area. They have no control when it comes to a smite. around the bot lane, so hoping to just draw resources of Kongdoo Monster topside, where they're strongest, and a face check onto score will probably mean to a lock up in the doom of anyone on the side of Kongdoo Monster. So they're being very respectful around the top side. Score pushes in, so does Pawn, and we reset. Not the most excitement, but so far ordered play from both Kongdoo Monster and KT Rolster.
Well, I definitely envision a very strong late game for KT. The Ryze and the Caitlyn can be quite scary with the front line and as much engage as they have in their composition. So comp overall feels better for me for KT, but we've seen crazier things happen.
If it was a 0-2 Kha'Zix, you'd definitely be counting Kongdoo out, but the Kha'Zix gotten going, and there's a potential that KT will make some too aggressive cuts through the enemy jungle, and maybe we'll see Yujun get value, but I completely agree. When it comes to reliable frontline, Tahm Kench doesn't fit that role, neither does Roach, because he's going to be looking for flanks to make the Gnar work, so they don't make the Gnar work, they have no initiation. So the role of Soul in a team fight, how he doesn't die to the dive from KT, kind of remains to be seen. That's my struggle with the side of Kongdoo Monster, is they have a Kog'Maw, but not a Kog'Maw comp. So getting maximum value out of the Kog is going to be a lot on execution from Soul, who's a good Kog'Maw player, but you also have Zac and the guarantee of the Hexa ultimatum to make you skeptical.
Yeah. We've always seen those 80 carries in solo queue who have like a 70% win ratio on Vayne, but then they go up against all the engage in the world, because it often happens in solo queue. You go up against a Zac, a Sejuani, a Gnar up in the top lane, an Orange, stuff like this, and then it's like, well, that guy doesn't have a great game because their entire enemy team counters you. So has a lot to deal with. See if he can pull off some Teddy Vayne plays. He's really been the star of dealing with multiple engaged threats while still surviving and doing damage.
On face checks edge, but not going to opt into anything. Pawn's gone pretty low on the damage. Second item, Zonia's. Lets you know that it's all about pushing them minions, staying away from team fights. No team fighting allowed, with being a very economic victory today for KT.
As few kills as possible.
The King Zone approach, apparently.
Yeah.
I think everyone's just ready for their holiday. Valdez?
Well, you would think they would try to end the game a little bit faster if they wanted to get onto their holiday. Although Kongdoo definitely playing a nice little defensive game. Not letting this one go super easily.
Yeah, much better control ward in this game. We noted how shallow their control wards were in game one, not offering them anything. Now they're fighting for something. They're fighting for mid lane. They're giving Kog'Maw a lot of safety. No advanced vision for a Baron turn that we know is not coming. KT don't have a Baron comp just yet. But at least Kongdoo Monster are fine. They have a position on the map, whereas in game one it felt like they never had a foothold on the Rift at all.
Secret ever so carefully taking out a ward. So moving forward, he's got to be careful. That red buff on Caitlyn is very annoying to deal with.
Has a red buff of his own for the regen, and
well, nice Devour here, and they do get him to safety. Nice flash by Secret to save the Kog'Maw. But again, Summoner's blown on the side of Kongdoo.
And that won't be available next time. Zac's power into Tahm Kench. If Tahm Kench ever is flashless, the Kidnap will bring both of them, and you get a bonanza, the double kill. Onto Soul and Secret in almost every situation. So that one was definitely a good one. And cooldown on the Let's Bounce, a lot shorter than that of the Flash. What does it mean in terms of moving up the map, though? Actually, very little. The Drake has been controlled by Kongdoo Monster and doesn't spawn for a while. The Baron buff is not a realistic objective, even though we have 3-item Caitlyn. So actually returning to punish the now flashless Tahm Kench, not going to be a trivial problem. We're in the side lanes. We're in the mid game. It's a bit resident sleeper here, Valdez.
You want to take over the cast? Maybe I take a little nap in the mid game here. I don't feel like I'm very needed here. I'm kind of just
but you have to describe every point of action.
You know, here's Braum killing some minions.
Just like with Atlas yesterday, find new things to be excited about. If you got nothing to shout about, isn't it your job to shout about something?
I mean, if I was on the Korean desk, that would be very true. But I don't know. We like to do our own little bit of analysis here. At least I do, but there's not much to talk about in this one, unfortunately. Deft, he can 3-shot Soul at this moment in time. He's up at 3.5 items in 28 minutes. with not even a kill under his belt.
I guess Bloodthirster, but it could be Merc's Scimitar as his next purchase. Very, very aggressive here from Deft. Still maximum damage turrets with the double BF sword items.
I feel like he could have just chunked that down, but decides to play it carefully.
It seems like KT are trying to play pretty risk-free League of Legends. Something they've historically struggled on, of course.
It's refreshing. We're going to have Pawn knocked down here. There's that 80% slow.
You got too excited.
God, why?
Sick outplay from Pawn there.
I'm so glad that that's being removed. Every time I see it, it's just like, oh, I got baited again.
You're okay with the 400 people teleporting into a fight, though, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's hype. Okay, well, no flash here on this guy, but he's got stopwatch. Oh, wavy. Looks like it's not going to be enough anyway as well. 5 members of KT coming on in. Score nearly has that passive proc, but he's got the stopwatch himself. But look at Deft all alone, but he's got the help of Smeb now. Score on the left side takes out Roach, and together Smeb and Deft holding hands, going to take out another member of Kongdoo Monster, and even dives the turret. Takes out Edge. Now it's only Yutun. And there it is, the ace comes in, and finally KT find a risk-free solution to take out Kongdoo.
I mean, risk-free in hindsight, but in the middle of the fight, it looked like they were being flanked, but it was the classic who's flanking who, Valdez. Turns out Kongdoo Monster were flanking themselves. As we start this one, you understand, all right, go on to Tom Kench, no flash. Has the stopwatch. Let's Bounce stops, but in the back line, the teleport in from the Gnar looks like it might be consequential when Deft is also chunked out at the same time. But Rise just turns onto the Gnar, kills him off screen. Smeb is able to isolate the Kog'Maw, so while the flank came through, he flanked himself, no Mega Gnar possibility in any sort of relevance. Really nice cleanup, first by Smeb and the rest of the team. From downtown, Caitlyn picks up the 5th kill, and it took 30 minutes. But KT Rolster finally break Kongdoo Monster.
Took a while, but we finally got here. Sick outplay by Smeb saying, hey, I'm still skilled, even though you guys don't get to see it too often in this meta. And kind of unfortunate for Roach. He was very close to getting his Mega Gnar, but he just got CC'd into oblivion before he could even use that ultimate.
I was looking at some 2015 stats, because of course, comparing the current run by Kingzone to that of SK Telecom T1 in summer, and I was reminded that we have 3 players ever that have picked up a top lane Riven pentakill: Smeb, Someday, and Khan. So, long time ago with the Smeb Riven, but it was highly skilled. Feels like we've kind of been robbed of some of his carry picks in a meta where Khan is having fun every day on the Rift.
You remember the days of Lee Sin top? Voyboy going all in all the time? Those were some of the most fun days of League of Legends.
Really? I mean, that also coincided with the IEMs and kind of the early days of Season 2 where it felt like anything could happen, and League of Legends is a really new esport.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the action, right? The head-to-head feel of, like, anyone can win this matchup, and it's always a skill matchup. It's not a tank-on-tank, stuff like that. Not very safe, very risky picks, so, you know.
I mean, at least Camille versus Snar does swing both ways. We do have some of these lanes that can be pretty competitive. Is Kongdoo Monster trying the all-in?
Okay, they're going to come in from behind. Roach, no Narbar here. Soul getting low, too, as they can't quite make it in. The re-engage, and here comes Rise. The kidnap gets nobody, and neither does Rise. So everybody gets out ahead.
Very optimistic of Kongdoo Monster. Engage 8,000 gold behind and try to make something work, especially when Caitlyn had heal up still. They kind of knew that the Baron buff was going to be painful, but they engaged into it, so that was a decision. Not a good one, in my estimation. Going to keep pushing through the mid lane. I'd like to see Secret also swap to a combat summoner, because I don't think you're going to be teleporting anytime soon.
Roach not respecting the Rise rotation there. Kind of just walking up to him and having his entire health bar taken away. There's the engage. They're looking for Soul here. Going to bang a couple of heads together, but it does get devoured up, and they can't quite get them together. Only Tom Kench will go down with the turret.
That means the Soul's out of the fight, though. No front line for him. Roach walking up, has the Mega Gnar, but has he even used a Gnar ultimate this game? Certainly not on screen. Soul almost dies straight up to the ace in the hole from KT. That's going to be the 2nd inhibitor of the game. And all it took was one team fight. definitely long delayed. A lot happened before then where the game looked even, but we were tricked. It was all a ruse. And KT Rolster now cruising for the 2-0.
Yeah. It's kind of what we predicted, Papa. Does make sense in the end. And it looks sort of close, but KT outplaying them in the team fight. Now they're too far ahead. Their composition is better. We're kind of sailing on into that KT 2-0 victory. What are you going to do during your 9 days off, Papa? You've been casting LCK every single day. Do you even know how to do anything else at this point?
You know, I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'm going to save the voice. I'm actually kind of heartened by the fact that I haven't lost my voice yet, because there's been quite a lot to shout about. These 90-minute games especially. Like, at some point, you just have to shout as loud as you can to match the action, to go with a lot of passivity. So while there's been quiet moments, the loud moments have been notable as well. So just a lot of chilling, you know, just a lot of putting my feet up and relaxing, I think, is the main objective there. No family to visit in Korea, not a long enough break to go overseas to see family, so
yeah,
just some quiet time. And, you know what the sad thing is, Valdez, or maybe the heartening thing for the OGN Legion or the Spo TV fans, I'm probably going to miss the LCK somewhere through that break. I'm probably going to miss casting
I'm sure you will. I mean,
give me 3 or 4 days, that's nice. Is that what? Sol's dead.
Okay, well, he gets caught up here. They're going to try to counter-engage, but nice little engage onto Deft here. He gets low and dive on in. They finally do take out that AD carry, but the rest of them coming on in, especially Smeb and Pawn, who have gotten incredibly farmed up at this point. Very nice delay there by Smeb to just dodge it out of any of the CC. They're going to get Yujun. They're going to get Roach in the end. Just pushing forward underneath these turrets. Even though Score does have his passive procced here, it's not going to matter. There's going to be another ace as KT looking to end the game now.
And right up the minion wave. There's a teleport. It's going to be the 2-0 Valdez, and missing LCK has to start right now because we're going on break. KT Rolster, too strong for Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, making it look easy. Wasn't the most exciting game too, but definitely made it clear to everybody that this is their game to win. The easy 2-0 as they were the better team tonight.
And there definitely has been the games where KT Rolster go down and then they play down to their opponent and start actually scrapping with teams when they just ignore their win conditions and avoid smart gameplay. You think the Rocks Tigers series for KT 2 ago, where they just got a huge lead and then threw it in game 2. That wasn't going to happen here. Largely very passive while they were scaling up in the silence. Big high five to Smeb, their captain. They were able to hit their win conditions, close it out. The result, Yujin looked more competitive. Kongdoo Monster looked more competitive in game 2, but you were kind of always waiting for the bottom to fall out. A perfect ace, the best sign that the bottom fell out for Kongdoo Monster. They will go into the break on an 8-game losing streak, doing a bit of the reverse Kingzone Dragon X, and unfortunately for them, doesn't look any better when it comes to strength of schedule, whereas the side of KT Rolster cruise on. Are they as good as Kingzone? No, but they're hoping they can build up through the second round robin and run some of the strong squads in the LCK close.
Seems like Secret had a lot to say after that game. Running his mouth there at the end, just going over what might have gone wrong, as some disheartened looks on the other members. Gonna take another look at the last fight here. Sol just no vision in the jungle, and when you're facing a Zac, you play against Zac so many times, you eventually learn that you can't even go underneath your turret when you're this far behind.
It was a lose-lose for him. You could see at this point 2 inhibitors are down, so he had to find farm somewhere. He walked up into no vision, hastened the demise of his team. Too much gold lead here. Not really any significant outplays to talk about because
Smith's
KT is
styling on the Camille, though.
He definitely is.
A couple of times, you know?
Massive gold lead and multiple rolls. I hope we see more of this, Smeb. Give me the Camille, give me the aggressive picks. Enough of the Maokai from KT Rolster. They were the only ones picking it. That's probably a good sign. It's not that damn strong right now. And KT Rolster allows their fans and all telecom fans a happy last day of the LCK before the Lunar New Year. SKT 2-0 over KSV, and now KT Rolster 2-0 over Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, definitely a lot to go back to the drawing board here. A long break for every team in Korea, not just us. So lots to go over. And maybe some time off. This is the ridiculous damage graph of Deft.
But you can see the gold graph, not ridiculous, right? Not at the start, at least. It took 23 minutes for them to actually find a way in. At 30 minutes, there was the clean ace, and then from there, it looked a lot simpler. So KT, in the early game, didn't have a lot of power apart from, yep, we can do a lot of damage to turrets through the Caitlyn and Braum. A lot more value out of Caitlyn today than what they were able to get over Kongdoo and Dragon X earlier in the season. And then he's kind of ran Kongdoo Monster ragged. Nice early game from Yujun, but Kaz just didn't have any good lanes to gank after a certain point. All situational in every lane. Rise got into a side lane. We were waiting upon waiting for something to change. Perfect Ace was the change, and from there, Kongdoo Monster has, sadly, I'm sure they'll feel again this season, just were out of control of their own destiny. It was all in the hands of KT Rolster. 5 minutes later, it was over.
Yeah. Well, we had nice success stories from...
One more time?
No, I'm not going to repeat that. The two telecom teams, as you mentioned, SKT definitely a nice story for them. Into the break, trying to come back. You know, we were thinking about would there even be a potential for them to be in the bottom two and face relegations, and it seems like that is no longer possible, Papa.
At no point did I believe that would happen. There are not 8 teams in Korea better than SKT, even 3 matches ago. Let's use the MVP. Give it to Deft. Why not?
I mean, he did get 69% kill participation, so he might as well. But again, up to 500 MVP points, that's pretty uncommon for 80 carries here in the LCK.
Sadly, we won't get to talk to either Smeb or Mada on Smeb and Mada's anniversary days.
Yeah.
They're not together, guys. That's because they've played for 5 years, by the way. But their 5th year anniversary as pro players. No MVPs for them, but I'm sure some questions towards Deft and Pawn about their teammates.
Let's go ahead and go over to what looks to be a very promising and interesting interview. Taking a look at Caster Sung over there. Not sure what's going on, but I'll hand you guys over to Ji-Sun for the translation.
그리고 데프트 선수의 인터뷰가 준비되어 있습니다. 함께 만나보시죠.
So here we have the best players of today's game. Congratulations. Wow, Pawn, your play was so great. We were so dazzled. We can't really look straight on you. Congratulations. So there was great moments in the first game. How do you feel? I think I did really well in the early games, but I made some silly mistakes in the late game, so I'm a little bit disappointed. But yeah, I think overall it was okay. Well, people say there aren't a lot of champions to pick in mid lane. What are your comments? Well, yeah, a lot of mid champions are banned out. So, yeah, I think mid laners are all having some struggles nowadays. Well, if I have to recommend any mid champion, I could pick Talia. Yeah, I think Talia is the best if the 4 best mid champions are banned out. So let's say hi to Dev. How was the game today? Hi. What was the question again? Congratulations. Thank you. Do you wear sunshades a lot? No, not really. Well, it does look good on you. So you also started with the Relics Shield, right? I think Doran's Shield or Relics Shield has similar stats, so well, Relic Shield lets your supporter to earn more money, so that's why I picked it. Well, the second game you dealt a lot with your Caitlyn. How was your play with Caitlyn, though, overall? Well, if I don't die on Caitlyn in the early games, I have the confidence I can carry the whole game, so I think it worked out as I planned. What was the play of the game moment for yourself? Well, it wasn't a perfect, but the moment when I win the opponent blue jungle, actually it was my mistake, but I managed to survive, so yeah, I think that was the highlight from today. Then let's check out the video clip. Well, it's not the one that you mentioned, right? And this one is what I mentioned. Well, it was my mistake to go this div, but in the end I managed to survive, so I kind of like it.
엄청나게 시선 분산을 잘 시켜줬던 멋진 장면이 있었고요.
Well, I asked Steph actually to use his heal, but he didn't.
아, 그때는 탈이 나올 수 있었다. 그래서 힐을 외쳤습니다만 답이 없었다.
Well, yeah, he just ignored me.
아, 그래도 그럼에도 불구하고 쿨하게 1세트 MVP를 얻게 됐는데 사실 폰 선수 걱정하시는 분들이 예전에 그 몸이 좀 안 좋았다는 얘기를 좀 들으신 분들이
Speaking of Paul, last year you actually went through a serious surgery, right? A lot of fans are still worried about you. Yeah, I am taking some medicines, painkillers, and yeah, that's how I maintain my form. Well, I still need painkillers to fully recover my health.
선수의 건강도 이제 많은 분들께서 걱정을 하셨기 때문에 말씀 한번 드려봤고요. 오늘 축하할 부분들이 굉장히 좀 많아요.
And today, SMAP and Mata had their 5th year anniversary as a pro gamer, right? And also, Mata made his 2000th assist in LCK. Is there anything you want to say to Mata?
시로 2,000원씩.
네.
So 2,000 assists.
2,000킬은 아니지만.
Well, it's not a 2,000 kills, but well, yeah, congratulations. Then Deft, is there anything you want to say to SMAP?
5주년 축하하고.
So congratulations on your anniversary.
계속 열심히 해서
I hope you keep on with your hard work
6주년, 7주년, 10주년
and make it to 6th year anniversary, 7th and 10th together with all my heart. And your 5th year anniversary is coming next week, right? So yeah, a lot of fans are already celebrating your anniversary also. Do you have to match on that day? Then we will celebrate it right now. Congratulations. Well, some people say that you are a specialist in knee. Well, I saw you sitting on SMAP's knee and then your coach. So which one is your favorite? Who do you want to sit on? My coach. Yeah, I prefer my coach the most. Okay, okay, I agree with that. And then at the pick and bans in the second game, I saw Score singing in the gaming booth. Is that right? Well, I don't really remember, but yeah, I think Score and SMAP was a little bit hyped before the game. I really don't know why. Well, we're still curious, so let's check out later. And you know, people are asking, people want to ask you whether Jinx can be on competitive games. What are your comments on Jinx? Well, she's buff, but I think I still need to go to some more works to make sure if it's an AT champion like Caitlyn or Kog'Maw, so I'm not really sure. And Lunar New Year's are around the corner, and it's a national holiday. Are you gonna buy anything special for your nephew or niece? Well, if they bow to me, maybe I will. It's a tradition, right? Yeah, we all have a few nephews and nieces. Yeah. But they don't really come say hi or bow to me in the national holidays. But just in case they do, we also got some present for you guys. It's a coffee shop gift card. So share it with your teammates and spend a happy holiday with them.
많은 팬들이 오늘 경기 아주 기쁘게 지켜보셨을 것 같습니다. 지금 확인하시면 좀 민망한데. 네. 관심이 많으신 것 같은데.
So you seem really interested, but it's a card. You can't really check it out right now.
2대 0으로 KT가 숫자를 쌓아 올린 거에 대해서 아주 크게 기뻐하고 계시거든요.
So a lot of fans are so happy to see you guys 2-0 out Kongdoo today. Is there any message you want to say to them?
맞아요.
Where our last match of the first round is against KSV. So, and we have made a lot of matches in 2-1 or 1-2 loss. So we're kind of lacking in points. So we're gonna make sure that we're gonna make more 2-0 games from now on. As he said, yeah, our winning points are really good. So we're gonna make a clean game in 2-0 for the last game of the first round. Thank you. And this will be the end of the interview with Def and Pon. Thank you for listening.
이번 경기 KT 롤스터가 2대 0으로 승리한 소식을 전해드리면서 오늘의 최고의 선수 2명의 선수와 이야기를 나눠봤습니다. 오늘 고맙습니다.
Thank you, Ji-sun.
That was
translation.
A bit of a roller coaster of an interview.
I know, that was a bit all over the place.
We had a lot of topics. Deft, always a man of few words.
Yes, only says the important things, giving out all the important information to his fans. But
looking fly in his shades, so he's got that going for him. He gets a bit of a break now.
I think a lot of people go off. Ji-sun was wearing shades during the interview, but we didn't really get her on camera.
Unfortunate. But of course, I get to go to the break. This is a real break, of course, with New Year being a big tradition here, so it's all about going and seeing family. There will also be scrims, I imagine, in the earlier parts of the week. And that was an interrupt. We didn't even see that. It wasn't a cancel. An interrupt by Deft, of all people. But they were able to go 1-for-1. And this is where Kongdoo Monster was still in the game. They were still looking competitive. But the moment that this went so wildly against Kongdoo Monster, that we were equal in gold when this started. But a perfect ace from KT Rolster showing that possibility. Roach with the right Gnar bar, but unfortunately not the right engage. Transformation far too late, and Pawn free farmed in the back line. Perfect ace. KT Rolster closing it out from here and sending the fans home happy with a 2-0.
Smeb really styling. I agree with you. I want to see him on more carry champions in the future because he's definitely got the mechanics to pull it off. Even though it's not the best game to show off up against Kongdoo Monster, he still managed to do so on his Camille tonight. So this is just the end of the game where Deft finally dies, but still ended up doing a nice bit of damage, and Smeb and Pawn end up being the heroes of this one.
If you wonder why the interview was long and the highlights long, it's because, you know, tonight's been a fast night, Valdez. We haven't had a lot of time on the Rift. You haven't got to admire our Hanbox that much, so it's been a short night, but it does mean that the holidays start early, so who's to complain?
Yeah, it's only 10 p.m. here. We'll head out after this one, but either way, a very aggressive, fast win here by KT Rolster. 2 35-minute games, very close in terms of time, and they get the win they deserve over Kongdoo Monster, so they should be happy going into the break, have a little bit of time off. I know that generally some of the teams meet up and they spend a lot of time trying to get better, but I feel like most of them just take some time off, and especially because from the beginning of the split and even before the split up until now, it was just going super hard, balls to the wall every single day. So they need that break.
But it could be patch 8.3 starting. I take your point though, it's a long season. There will be no breaks after this. So going into the break, one match short of the first round robin ending. SK Telecom moving their way up. Who's to say they won't be a top 5 team by the end of the season? No one wants to know. They're definitely within the 4th to 6th kind of range for me from what we've seen. Afrika Freaks, the big improvers, you'd have to say, looking very strong right now. I would say, based on their play, easily the 2nd strongest team in the LCK. KSV on the way down. KT, top 3 perennially. And still a lot to learn from there, but the bottom is also starting to firm because MVP are on the up as well. So BBQ and Kongdoo Monster are perennial relegation teams.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be back there with how the recent weeks are playing out.
You know what? MVP is definitely a survivor team where they, even if they go to relegations, they stick in it.
They've never been in relegations. That's the amazing thing for
So-
them. Here is the end of week 4, 5 match days. We had some great team matchups, but even KT Rolster versus Kingzone wasn't close. Felt like the best teams were kind of piling on the wins this week.
It definitely feels that way. Amongst all the talk of KT Rolster having some inconsistencies, the only 2 teams they've lost against are the 2 teams ahead of them, Kingzone and Afrika.
So we come back, and Valdez, oh boy, do we come back with a strong one. First day back the 20th, guys. So 9 days from today, KSV versus KT Rolster. That is a spicy one. That could definitely be a very important one. Whereas for SKT, it might be 3 match wins a row, unless Kongdoo Monster do some significant leveling up in the offseason.
Yeah, and then the next time SKT face is on the 24th up against the Rocks Tigers. Generally, you would say, oh, easy win for SKT, but definitely could be a rough one for them.
And Kingzone play back-to-back on 2 OGN match days, but look at the 24th. That could be our first versus second place teams.
It's a big day.
Freaks and Kingzone's first match in the second round robin. It comes soon, which is when you want to see it, when both teams are in form. We might actually see 16 wins in a row, play 12 wins in a row in that match.
It's going to be a fun one. I know I'll be watching. I think that's on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So lucky play-by-play caster gets to cast that one, either Achilles or Atlas over at OGN.
I actually have no idea, but I know I'll be there, and I'm excited about that. Sorry that you won't be there, sir. You won't get to see our awesome Hunbox either. This is just a one-day traditional thing here to bring in the new year.
I had some flower power going on.
You do?
I had some flowers down here as well. I was wearing the pink. I had the very pretty one.
I hear that music, Valdez.
The music is starting, so thank you guys once again for watching. It's been a long beginning. I was told to continue talking. I was not allowed to close out, but it's been fun, and enjoy your break, guys. We love you. See you next time.